Hey, Kevin here, top wanted financial advisor and best-selling author, and we are here to talk about the stock market. Today I want to show you exactly breakdowns by percentages of how the typical millionaire actually invests their money. And this is fun and interesting because I've seen it, right? As an advisor, I've seen it, but I haven't really broken it down by percentages, and we have some stats that give this to us so we can be very, very precise. I can tell you, from experience, but again, it's always better to have actual hard data. But I also want to know what you think in terms of what is it that you think these percentages will be. So for example, what percent of real estate do you think millionaires' wealth comes from? So feel free to type it in the comments before I actually answer the question. The reason why I want you to kind of interact and throw a number out as I'm stalling for time to give you time to do that is, number one, I really want to understand how some of us think and see social media as to what they actually invest in versus what they actually do. But also, we saw this from the poll that I did on Public and on Instagram, where I asked people, how often do you think that the stock market hits a new all-time high? If you've been watching the videos, you know that's every 19 days on average. The highest answer, I think it was 55 to 60% of people, said that it only happens 3 times per year, which is way off, right? So if you think that the market hits an all-time high only 3 times per year, then you're going to sit back and not do much, or you could be afraid of investing at all-time highs, which is what some people do. So, oh no, it's too close to the all-time high, I'm not going to invest in it. Why do that when in 3 weeks approximately it's going to hit another all-time high? So the all-time high for you right now is going to be the next low, 19 days from now, 21 days from now. You guys get the point. So give you enough time. What percent do you think is in real estate? What percent do you think is in 401k, business, blah, blah, blah? I've given you enough time to break those down, so we're going to go ahead and read it. Again, this comes from Peter Maluk. Hopefully I am pronouncing that correctly. He is on Twitter. I just followed him today, and this was shared again by Financial Advisor Kansas City is where I got it from, and I follow them both, Instagram and Twitter, so I can find out really, really fire tweets like this. So asset breakdown for the typical millionaire. This is the United States, keyword millionaire, because I'll just make a distinction here in a second. Here's how their wealth is broken down. 401ks and IRAs, 34%, the biggest chunk, 34% of their net worth is there. That is your biggest chunk. That is your biggest weapon for financial freedom, your biggest pool of money, whatever it is you want to call it. I've been very, very consistent in saying that for a long time, that if you want to start anywhere, you want to start there. Why? If you get a company match, that's where you want to have it. You also have the biggest opportunity for tax deferred wealth right now, like $19,500. That number goes up every 2 or 3 years. So I get to put all of that money right there, my IRA, or first off my 401k or 403b or TSP if you're in the government. That's my biggest chunk of money. That's where I want to focus first. If I don't do nothing else, obviously 34% of the average millionaire's wealth is there. So 401ks, IRAs, your base retirement accounts, that's where they focus most. Next, taxable investments, which I think is really interesting at 28%. Taxable investments are the regular trading and things that we do like on the side. So right now, Public, Robinhood, a lot of these other apps, cash apps, they don't have IRAs. They don't have retirement accounts. So those are taxable accounts. These are accounts that at the end of the year, you get a tax bill that says you made money or you lost money, and you take that to the accountant and you do what you want to do with that. The good thing about taxable accounts is these are the primary instruments in which people use to retire early. Okay, that's number one. Number two, if you are, you're more of a trader, but not even a trader, but just somebody who's growing their wealth outside of those accounts, because you still got to grow your money, right? If I can only put away, I'm just going to round up and let's say I can only put away $20,000 a year, which yes, that's a lot. But if I'm maxing out there and I maxed out my 401k, I maxed out my IRA, what do I do now? That's where you really want to go for those taxable accounts. Or if you're trying to retire early, you really want to try and put as much as you can in those taxable accounts, because I can put as much in and withdraw as much out without any penalty. So a lot of people who retire early, let's say they retire at 30, 35, maybe 40, they live off those taxable accounts and allow their retirement accounts to grow and grow and grow until they're ready to pull out from there. So they're not taking way more tax bills than they have to. So it's kind of a layered financial approach. So again, focus on your retirement accounts first. If you got a 401k, go for it. You got IRA, go for it. I would do as much as you possibly can there. And then if you are close to or you've maxed it out, that's where you really want to focus on your taxable account. You really kind of want to fill these buckets up, one at a time. If you can do both, go ahead and do so. But the only time I would really recommend doing both is if A, you're trying to be more aggressive and retire earlier perhaps, or B, you're looking to, or B, you've maxed those out, or you're going to max those out already, and you can go ahead and move to the taxable category. It does not, in most cases, make sense for you to max and just try to put as much as you can in a taxable account, because one, there's no limit, and then not really pay attention to your retirement accounts. Why does that not make sense? The tax incentives don't really make sense, and the matching incentive, if you have one, does not make sense. If you don't get a match in your 401k, which happens to a lot of people, you don't get a match in the 401k, I still think it still makes sense because of the tax incentives, and you still get to put so much more and not pay taxes today. You get to pay taxes in the future, so that is still a big benefit even without a match. You should still consider it. I always say retirement accounts first, taxable accounts next. This tweet and these percentages also bear that out. 34% have their wealth in these retirement accounts, IRAs, 401ks, number one. Number two is taxable accounts. So keep that in mind. All right, so 34% retirement accounts, 28% goes to taxable, 13% actually goes to the home. Now it makes a distinction between home and real estate investments, so we are led to assume that we're talking about the primary home as an investment. You can argue with that. I've made arguments for and against whether or not it should count in your net worth, but it is what it is. 13% comes from home ownership. Again, that's the third one, but it's only 13%. Next is real estate investments at 9%. This could count as real estate properties, obviously. This could count as usually rental properties is what I've seen in my experience. Maybe commercial buildings, but again, that's a little more rare. But if you got a rental property, you got an Airbnb or something like that, a vacation home that you're renting out, that could count. I do see it from past millionaire clients, but not as often, which is why you only see it at 9%. Then you've got cash at 6%. That's it. Cash is at 6%. And I think most of us at this point know why. Cash is king, yes, but you don't want to have too much of it because it doesn't grow. Okay, you putting your money in your bank account, and that's a good place you need for emergency funds. But the way that I strategize is once I've got my 6 months, once I've got my year, if I want to be really, really safe, the rest of that money is going straight to my investment accounts because it's not going to really help me past that. Inflation, right? We've talked about inflation before. If inflation is rising at 2% on average, this year's higher. It's been like 5.4% if I remember correctly. But on an average normal year, your cash is weakening, right? Things are getting more expensive. So if you keep just having more cash and more cash and more cash, that's not going to help you as much as you think it will, when I can take a chunk of that cash and be investing that. And make sure that money is going to work. And I said be investing for a reason. So you want to make sure I've got my emergency fund, I'm working on my retirement accounts, and the minute I hit that emergency fund number, I'm shutting off the savings, right? I mean, stay very, very little and add very little amounts to it, but I'm pumping that money all the way to my investing accounts. If I've got my retirement accounts maxed out, then I'm really going hard for those taxable accounts. All right. And then last is other, and that's just, it's usually business ownership, entrepreneurship, family business, something like that. That's usually where that category comes from. So again, we've got IRAs, 401ks at 34%, 28% is taxable investment accounts. So right there, you're talking about 62%. Yeah, 62% comes from just investing accounts, retirement and taxable together. 62%, if I'm adding that up correctly. 34 plus 28, which I think is right. And then you've got real estate. If you want to combine it, if you can, but you got home at 13%, other real estate investments at 9%, cash at 6%, which is the smallest, and then other at 10%. Now, those are facts, okay? You're not really gonna argue with the facts, but from my experience as a financial advisor, that's pretty in line with a lot of the things I've seen. The most consistent millionaires, I've been telling y'all this over and over, they're the ones putting money in their 401k year after year after year. They're putting in 12 to 15%, sometimes more if they can. a lot of them are investing in index funds, and they will come to me and be like, oh, here's my statement with $2 million in it. Okay. And I was like, yeah, that's all I did. I don't really do much. I've also seen some who own they've been doctors or something, own a practice, they own like a food cart or something like that, and they have a good chunk of money there. They took that money and invested it. Now, if you're looking and say, well, what about, I don't know, LeBron James or Kanye West or Warren Buffett or whatever, the billionaire level I'm really interested to see is going to look a little bit different. A lot of them have a lot of their money still not necessarily in retirement accounts in the same way, because $19,000 to a billionaire ain't nothing, but a lot of times that's private equity or more in the investing space, like a Jeff Bezos. A lot of his money is in Amazon stock for obvious reason, but that also counts as a business that he owns. So the billionaire status is in a different category. Those are different stats. We're talking about millionaires only, and there are only so many billionaires, but way more millionaires. Some might be living your street. You can read The Millionaire Next Door, and there was a sequel to that book written by his daughter that also explains a lot of this. A lot of plainclothes millionaires that have been teachers. Sometimes they're doctors, sometimes they're the guy that mows your lawn, that just has a really good landscaping business and been tucking away and investing that money for a while. That's how they get there. So you see all the fancy stuff. That's not the biggest chunk of millionaires, nor is the real estate game. A lot of people feel that, and that's not to poo-poo real estate. That's not to say real estate is not an interesting and effective tool to build wealth. It is. No, they are not making more land, and that is true. However, from my experience, I didn't see so many millionaires that got there by real estate. That doesn't mean they don't exist, but I read you the stats. 62% got there through investing primarily in the stock market. It is what it is, right? So just throwing it out there. That's not to say I didn't see any. I saw some. I saw more who had that 401k money, and more who had been buying and holding great stocks for a very, very long time. A lot of the older people that I saw will usually have like a lot of older dividend paying stocks. But a lot of the stuff that we talk about here every day, Monday through Friday, stuff I talk about public, stuff that I teach about, things that I write about in my books, all teach you this type of process, whereas buying and holding quality investments is being able to have those regular reviews with yourself or even your financial planner to say, look, you know, it's mid-year review, kind of like you would in school, where you have like a midterm and you say, all right, here's what's going on, here's what we need to change, let's make these adjustments and keep going. But again, just like the stat we told you the other day about, every 19 days the stock market hits a new all-time high, or just like we hit the other stat where we're talking about if you're holding an investment or a stock, you are usually going to see a 97% chance of success when you're holding it for 5 years or more. This long-term stuff does work because, again, just think about it. If you're holding quality. Now, if you go buy a penny stock, a stock you've never heard of and you don't understand because you got it for $2, I can't help you. That is a different type of risk, and we don't have the data to really prove success there on a consistent basis. But the names that the Walmarts, the Targets, the Goldman Sachs, all that kind of stuff, we generally know that these tend to rise. Index funds especially, we know they tend to rise. If you are sticking with it, if you're dollar cost averaging, adding money on a consistent basis, you are going to be fine. You just have to allow that system to work. That's really all you have to do, is get in, stay consistent, and continue to choose quality, which is a lot easier than what most people think. And that's what we do here, is we make investing simple and we make it consistent, and I give you a formula that actually works. So you have all the tools you need. You have everything you need. It's why I teach the Investor's Toolkit, where you can have even more tools. So feel free to check that out as well. So the book, the course, the free course, all that stuff will be in the description below. But I thought it was a very interesting stat, very confirming stat for me, because I know what I saw, right? I know what I wrote down in my book, but to have more statistics say this is actually how people do it, or rather this is where the majority of people do it. Because another part of my philosophy as a financial educator and a financial advisor is, or a former financial advisor rather, is what is the highest chance of success? That's my big thing. What is the highest chance of success? Yes, crypto, I've got money in crypto, right? But that's only, but what, 10, 15, not even 20 years old at this point, right? So I don't know if there's a 50% chance of success. I don't know if it's a 2% chance of success. I don't know. It hasn't been around long enough. I know I can point back 50, 60, 70 years in the stock market. I can tell you 62% of the time, millionaires have 62% of their wealth here. So it must be something that is reliable, right? I'm also interested, and this is a tangent, I wonder how this is going to change the next 20 or 30 years as crypto becomes more of a thing. I don't know, right? That could fall in that taxable bracket because technically it is supposed to. So we'll see. But those are my thoughts. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Make sure you hit the share button. Make sure you hit the like button, and especially the subscribe button. We are over 1,000 subscribers, which is great on YouTube. I want to continue to grow here on TikTok. Y'all help me out. I got like 50 followers. So just throwing it out there as well. Make sure you hit everything in the link below to get your book, because it will help you to invest better as well. And then make sure you check out the courses. All right, that's it for me. Talk to you guys later. Bye.